My feet so fat I can't get into my roller skates. And my neck and chest don't fit anymore. Look at this. It's a stick up. It don't work. I do this at a bank robbery, I look like a fool.
Hey, what's up, pups? Happy Tuesday. We're trying something different. We're going to be reversing show times. Maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays we'll do game streaming, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays we will do a show. But for anybody new to the show, it's called the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that talks about pop culture. We try to keep ourselves up to date of what's happening in the pop culture news, whether that's good, bad, or ugly. We try to look at it all, and my hope is I can bring some tension to whatever while adding some humor to it with the goal of just bringing back that nostalgic flame because it is dying. It is dying to me, in my opinion, due to wokeness. And, we need to bring it back to like the 90s, 80s, early 2000s where everything just seemed possible and no one got butthurt about everything. If you're new, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We are on YouTube and we are on Rumble and we are on X currently. Right now, I've been having trouble with Rumble Studios and I've been bitching at them to get it to fixed. Hopefully it works. At least it works with the show, just because we're not like gaming or anything like that. But it'd be nice if we could. All right. So, feels like I haven't done a show in a while, but there's been a lot of interesting stuff out there. I just picked stuff that caught my eye, and let's just hop into it. Well, bam. So apparently people are kind of saying that the new Indiana Jones video game is pretty good, even though it's like people are also saying that could just pretty much be a movie. According to Video Game Chronicle here, Lucasfilm Games says it would be super interested to tell more Indiana Jones story. Sorry, not just one story, like multiple stories. If the Great Circle is a success. So it was released Monday for the Xbox Series XS and PC and has been well received by critics. Apparently it's collecting an 87 scores for both platforms on site Metacritic. Interesting. The single-player first-person game is set in 1937, between the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade films. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't really super dived into like the plot of this game. I just know they were pretty gay about everything because they had to, they put up that warning. Oh, it talks about Nazis and stuff. It's like, dude, like the only people who get paranoid about and upset with like talking about Nazism are the same people that go around labeling everybody else as Nazis. Like the normal person will easily understand that just because you made a game and there's Nazism, Nazi symbolism, Nazi people in there does not mean you, the studio, are like support that. Like the world has gone insane with that stupid shit. So it sees players embark on a globe-trotting adventure to stop sinister forces from uncovering and harnessing an ancient power connected to the Great Circle. Developer Machine Games is currently working on a story DLC for the game called The Order of the Giants, which will be released in 2025, as well as the PS5 version of The Great Circle, which is coming next spring. In an interview with Variety, Lucasfilm Games Vice President and General Manager Douglas Riley suggests there could be potential franchise potential in the partnership with Machine Games if it's successful. Right now, we're focused on getting this one to the public and getting the DLC and making this as successful as we can, Riley said. I think we're always looking for a great story, and the good news is there's a lot of space in between the films where we could tell more and more Indiana Jones stories that I think would be super interesting. Yes, but don't bastardize it with woke shit, like the new film kind of tried to do. Riley also touched on whether the Great Circle is considered canon to the wider Indiana Jones cinematic universe. So canon is such a complicated concept. It is an authentic story set between the two movies of Raiders and The Lost Crusade. He said, we work closely with the studio and franchise management. So yes, it is meant to be an authentic Indiana Jones experience in that set. So he really didn't admit if it was canon or not. But he hopes that if it's one of those things, keep it vague, and if it's successful, then they can say, hey, it's canon. And if it's not successful, well, it's just a game, you know. It's just XYZ. So that was quite interesting. I'm actually interested. I was kind of hesitant just because of all the talk around Indiana Jones and the Great Circle review, but I wouldn't mind playing it. But again, it depends on how long the cutscenes are. Because some people are saying, like, it could be a movie. And it's like, some people were saying also that, you know, like the boring stuff is the gameplay and the cool stuff is like also that the cutscenes, and it's like, ooh, that's not good. They don't know how to like set it up correctly. So also coming from Video Game Chronicles, we have the Life is Strange studio Deck 9 confirms another round of layoffs. And Deck 9 blames the challenging times for latest wave of staff cut. Sure you guys are. So it has laid off an unspecified number of its staff. Maybe unsuspected to them if they didn't see it coming. Statement on the studio's LinkedIn account confirmed the cuts, citing harsh games industry conditions as the reason. Get more specific. What specifically about the conditions in the gaming industry is it taking place? I could tell you what I think is the problem, but you guys don't want to admit to it. Colorado US-based studio previously laid off 20% of its workforce in February. Today, we are sad to share the news that we must say goodbye to some of our talented team members, said Deck 9 CEO Mark Lyons. This was an extremely difficult decision and reflects the challenging times many companies in our industry are currently facing. We are extremely grateful to every individual who has dedicated their hard work, passion, and commitment to make transformative entertainment with us. To those of you leaving the studio due to these changes, thank you for sharing your talents with us. We are proud for what we were able to accomplish together, and we are committed to supporting you in this transition in any way you can. Do they have, a pension or something? Is that it? Like, pretty much, anytime a company says, we're committed to supporting you in this transition in any way we can, like, my response would be, yeah, give me money. Because you fired me. Not because of, hopefully not because of my fault, but because you're just claiming that the conditions are too harsh and we have to let people go. Hopefully. And then, I don't know if they can file for unemployment or whatever, but get on them. Make the company pay. Right now, I have a very hard time respecting companies because they suck so bad in terms of like actually making games and catering to the actual consumers. They're catering to other weirdos out there that don't like gaming in general and aren't even gamers. They're tourists. So they also said to the community, we ask for your support and understanding during this difficult time. And then game developer Farhan Noor, who has been tracking job cuts dating back to the start of 2022 on videogameslayoffs.com, estimated that around 14,600 games industry employees have been laid off this year. Ouch. Oh, brother. My goodness gracious. People are insane. So I'm sure a lot of you heard healthcare CEO got Minecraft. And I mean, this is even weird because I'm already seeing people that are like, because they're seeing like pictures of like the guy arrested and then the guy from the video. And they're, it's already like they're not the same person sort of thing. So this is just adding more. Niche Gamer pointed out that apparently the guy who killed, healthcare CEO allegedly worked on Civilization 6. So earlier Monday morning, the FBI arrested 26-year-old Luigi Mangione in connection with the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, last week. It was reportedly recognized, or he was reportedly recognized by an employee at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and was carrying a weapon and multiple fraudulent IDs when he was arrested. As information has started to filter out about the suspect, a surprising link to the video game world was established. According to CNN, well, shooting suspect Luigi here worked as an intern at Firaxis Games and claimed to have fixed hundreds of game bugs in Civilization 6. Meanwhile, the New York Post is reporting that while in college, Luigi started the University of Pennsylvania Game Research and Development Environment. Other details have started to trickle out about the shooting suspect as well, though not related to video games. He appeared to be a fan of Playboy founder Peter Thiel, an AI optimist, having tweeted multiple times about the ways in which technology could eventually help humanity achieve immortality. Well, by that point, the good Lord's going to come back. Good Lord's the only one that can give you immortality. And AI is just going to create a false sense of security and reality, although technically what we're in now is also a simulation in terms of script, like what the scripture says and stuff like that. He also has a now privated Goodreads account wherein he read Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's hillbilly elegy, as well as the manifesto of Unabomber Ted Kaczynski. Of course, surprisingly, Fox News has also revealed that he is a cousin of Maryland Republican State Delegate Antonio Di Mangione. Of course. Oh, brother. And I'm sure some of the left-wing jackasses out there will latch onto all this stuff. But yet they'll ignore that one, trans shooter in that Christian school. Yeah, forgot. Yeah, that was a fluke. A one time. That was a... you can't take the extremes and generalize everybody, but when it comes to the enemy, you can do that all day. I just know there's going to be people out there that does it. The words delay, deny, defend were engraved in the bullets used to kill Brian Thompson, words alluding to United Healthcare's seemingly notoriety for denying insurance claims. I hate to say it, but this is something that unfortunately is not going to be shock-worthy anymore. Because someone out there is going to do it. The more intense we get about this stuff, the more that this sort of stuff is going to happen. I guess for me, it's I can't say that I'm surprised. Because even in talks with people and stuff like that about this insanity, it's someone's going to go out there and do it. It's the real question is notice who the people who, when one side does it, they'll cheer and applaud and stuff. And then when another side does it, it's the most terrible thing in the world. Where did they... Okay, Civilization 6. And then they just throw in, well, if you want to play Sid Meier's Civilization 6, it's currently available for PC. In case you missed it, and then they have a written review and stuff like that. So, unfortunate for the healthcare guy. Ugh. I do agree, though, in terms of definitely needs to be fixed. That's for sure. And then and then you have people like this do this. So it's almost like if you get your shit together, then you can lessen stuff like this. But then, of course, that's talking about the people in power and stuff like that and how corrupt they really are and whatnot. So, AI translation use rising according to recent research. Another article that caught my eye from Niche Gamer. So while AI has taken the tech industry by storm in what many may call a simple, marketing trend, there has been a notable shift in AI translation recently. The new rise of AI translation was documented via recent research by Localize, who followed the use of AI translation over the course of this past year. Localize is a business that provides translation service for mobile apps, video games, documentations, e-commerce, and software for companies such as Amazon, Yelp, and Virgin Mobile. They primarily do translation with their AI translation API tool that companies can integrate into their workflow. As for their research, the company found a trend towards the increase in the usage of AI translation over the manual translation done by humans. The rise specifically started towards the end of 2023, where before the company had even mixed that favored human intervention. However, for much of 2024, more uses come from their AI translation, with even some points reaching 274% over that of human translation during the same time. Dang. I love the little whoop. I love that. This could indicate a trend towards the use of automating translation and localization of other languages. For example, we reported last year of an indie developer using such AI translation to translate their games from Japanese to English in order to cut costs on hiring professionals. Do we look at this one? Indie SRPG Little Hearts gets English localization thanks to AI translation. Huh. Well, I want to read that one because that's pretty cool. In recent years, there has been fan backlash over the quality of translation of games, such as when coming from Japan to English-speaking countries. These range from the grammatical quality all the way to strange changes made by the localization. Well, the answer of that would be if the human localizers didn't insert woke ideology into their translation or censorship. Maybe you wouldn't be that upset about it. Maybe you wouldn't be mad about it. Maybe then, AI translation wouldn't need to be used that much. Of course, while these numbers may be significant, it's important to note that Localize provides a variety of services for the translation beyond translation of text for products towards consumers. So to pinpoint a cause for this recent shift would be practically impossible. Still, this may indicate a major change in the landscape of translation as companies continue to release products globally to audiences that speak many different languages. I want to read that one article that's linked in here. Oh, this was last year. Indie SRPG Little Hearts, which has only been available in Japanese since its release in 2022, playable in English. Oh, they just used DeepL AI translation. Localization of the games from Japan into English has garnered controversy over the past. Most fans have been upset with localizers making changes to the text. This is true, that are inaccurate to the original and can be considered unprofessional. This also happens with fan translations as well. Well, I feel fan translations less because the people who usually translate that actually know the languages and at least understand the culture. People that, like in the dubbing industry, for example, they're just hiring DAI bullshit and putting ideology in there. Okay, so nothing too big, but interesting. Interesting nonetheless. Ooh. Yeah, we saw this Constantine. So probably, I wouldn't mind picking that up, even though I don't have 4K. That's the YouTube thing. So we're hopping over now to that Park Place. So the collapse of woke in pop culture is unlikely to give rise to a new organized conservative censorship. So this was released today. I'm interested to see what this is. So entertainment and pop culture are at a crossroads. Games like Dustborn and Concord have failed spectacularly due to their adherence to DEI and ESG principle within the framework of, quote, woke ideology. Now, with movies and games seemingly to move back to a more universal and merit-based presentation of fun and interest, there are fears that one authoritarian viewpoint could transition to another. However, worries that the mistakes of the moral conservatives of the past to reemerge in the modern landscape seems difficult to see as a likely upcoming threat. Well, first and foremost, to me, everything was just fine back in the day. Like, there was nothing to do. Like, there was not really any problems whatsoever. Oh, yeah, you're going to get some people, in the acting industry. I mean, some people even now, when will women, get women directors. We don't even have a seat at a table. It's like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You're just making shit movies or shows, and then, Asian actors, black actors, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, if you're talking like actual racial stuff that was way back in the day, that's all said and done. That's gone. But this is how twisted everything is, because this is talking about, worries that the mistake of the moral conservatives of the past to reemerge in the modern landscape. The moral conservatives, to me, the moral conservatives of the past were the correct and were based on truth. So the people afraid of this coming back, chances are like degenerates and scumbags to begin with. So what they see as stuff that was like normal and just fine is absolutely, insane. The great PSYOP, PSYOP, like with Trump and stuff. They made him like the biggest, baddest man in the world, but really he's not. There's far worse people out there. For those who weren't around during the conservative censorship surrounding pop culture's influences in the 80s and 90s, yeah. I mean, and understand, you're talking to someone who thought that, your satanic panic was like bullshit and stuff like that. Widespread moral panic swept through the United States and parts of the Western world during those decades, rooted in fear of dark arts, ritual abuse, and the supposed infiltration of evil influences into mainstream pop culture. Well, actually, a lot of the stories told in pop culture and in Hollywood are indeed based on Gnosticism, and the Gnostics. And there is origins of that stuff in there. So do a lot of a lot of it is just the telling of their history and whatnot. Are you talking about people who are they're trying to trick people into conjuring up stuff like that? I don't think so, because really, if they wanted to do something like that, they actually send dark stuff to said people, if you read, if you guys ever watch Russ Dizdar, God rest his soul and stuff like that. He'll talk. He used to work with police and, worked in had to deal with the occult and dark arts and all that stuff. If they want to do something to you, they will directly do something and send stuff your way directly, whether that's a cursed object or a person who has been broken and has demon attached to them. This stuff about trying to sneak in something clever in pop culture, when really it's just using symbolism and the history of certain stuff just to tell a good story. Not really. Yeah, the Satanic Panic, as it was later called, began as a confluence of cultural, religious, and media-driven forces. A major catalyst was the publication of Michelle Smith, Lawrence Pazdar's book Michelle Remembers in 1980, which claimed to recount recovered memories of satanic ritual abuse. This book, though later debunked, spurred widespread fear of secret satanic cults. Well, those are actually out there. Scripture talks about it, so they do exist for sure. Now, I don't know this Michelle Smith, and I don't know that much about this stuff, but you can't 100% denounce this stuff, because some of that stuff does take place and it does happen. There's also tied into an effort to claim that popular board games, Dungeons and Dragons, was part of the interest in the dark arts at the time. Again, it uses that to tell a story, but are they secretly trying to tell you to conjure up stuff? No. Not something like a Ouija board, which is specifically designed to try to talk to the dead. That stuff you stay away from. Of course, viewers of Stranger Things today are all too familiar with the fears of the 80s. Coupled with the rise of evangelical Christianity and its focus on spiritual warfare, well, it does exist, the panic spread rapidly. High-profile criminal cases like the McMartin preschool trial further fuel the hysteria despite a lack of credible evidence for widespread rituals abuse. Meanwhile, daytime talk shows like Geraldo and Oprah amplify these fears, often featuring sensational claims about satanic cult infiltrating suburban America. Well, again, first off, scripture talks about like there are powers behind everything. So it's there. It's 100% there. How strong is it? That can be, debated and talked about. But of course, if you have like, your whole armor of God on, you'll be fine. Pop culture became a prime target. Music genres like heavy metal were accused of promoting satanic worship, especially bands like Black Sabbath and Slayer. Role-playing games, like we said, Dungeons and Dragons, were labeled as gateways to occult practices. And even children's media like He-Man and the Smurfs were scrutinized for alleged satanic imagery. Well, that's just retarded. Care Bears were all, I watched Care Bears, and you might as well just say Care Bears were satanic because they use magic, It's like, oh my gosh. Satanic Panic was largely driven by moral conservatives who sought to impose stringent controls on media and culture to preserve traditional values. Organizations like the Parents Music Resource Center, led by Tipper Gore, famously advocated for content warning on music, leading to the parental advisory label that remains in use today. Censorship efforts extended to book bannings, restriction on films, and warning about video games. How funny is it today that Al Gore's wife was pushing a conservative censorship effort? Oh gosh, Hillary Clinton and Tipper Gore. Let's put broccoli in White House. What the hell is, what is this? What's with the broccoli? That's funny. However, the backlash to these authoritarian measures led to a gradual evolution in conservative strategies. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, many more conservatives began to adopt a less authoritarian approach to governance and to the marketplace. That's why the 90s and early 2000s were amazing, because they stopped doing them. They stepped off. Instead of direct censorship, they emphasized free market principles and parental choice. The shift reflected recognition that top-down control of culture was neither feasible nor desirable in a pluralistic society. Conservative advocate groups began focusing on creating alternative media rather than attempting to suppress mainstream content, leading to the rise of faith-based films, music, and television programming. There you go. Several factors make a reoccurrence of the Satanic Panic improbable. Firstly, the internet is democratized information, making it much harder for any one narrative to dominate the cultural conversation unchallenged. Skepticism towards media sensationalism has also grown. You got your fact-checking, investigative journalism playing a more prominent role in a public discourse. Moreover, society increasing embrace of diverse viewpoints and lifestyle has reduced the likelihood of mass hysteria centered on moral conformity. While cultural battles still rage, they are often fought on more fragmented and less sensationalized grounds. So while the Satanic Panic was emblematic of right-wing authoritarianism in pop culture, many critics argue that left-associated woke ideology has taken its place as the dominant force in culture regulation up until the most recent election. This I do agree, and I think it was stolen, actually. I think a lot of like what the left do, they steal and they change and they redefine everything to make sure that they're always kept in power. That's not to say the right doesn't either. There's like a bunch of right idiots out there. Woke ideology rooted in social justice and identity politics often seek to influence pop culture through calls for reparation, inclusivity, and accountability. Those calls are made in words that are presented as positives, but often metastasized into dictatorial demands for power. Dictatorial? Oh my gosh. So unlike the Satanic Panic's reliance on overt censorship, woke ideology operates through social and economic pressure, such as boycotts, cancel culture, and calls for deplatforming individuals or media deemed offensive, which to me is 10 times worse, because you literally want to destroy their livelihood. This approach mirrors the moral absolutism of the Satanic Panic, but is driven by a different set of values. Well, I think a lot of these people are actually indeed, influenced by demonic powers. Moral conservatism, when organized for censorship, is often driven by a fear of immortality and civil decline. Woke ideology is instead driven by a need for power and disavows absolute truth and/or objectivity in its striving to obtain power for people groups. Its influence is authoritarian, stifling creative freedom and punishing dissenting voices. And then, your satanic panic serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of moral authoritarianism. Well, there's only one correct. There's the truth out there. There is the truth. I will tell you that it's scripture, and it is. But at some point, when the good Lord comes back, I mean, he technically does make it moral. He does establish his rule. I mean, it is God. He is the truth. So, and the ease with which fear can distort public perception, while the specific anxieties of that era are unlikely to return, the dynamics of cultural control continue to evolve. Today's debates over woke ideology reveal that impulse to regulate and shape pop culture remains strong, albeit in new and complex form. I don't think it's super complex. I think if anything, it's just taking what was already established and just bastardizing it, and then doing what it said earlier. Enough pressure, cancel culture, XYZ, it'll change. And with retards in power who also think that way, they'll change everything. Understanding these shifts helps us navigate the challenges of maintaining both cultural diversity and freedom of expression in a rapidly changing world. But the idea that conservative moral censorship will rise out of a current Trump era is exceedingly unlikely. I agree. I doubt it's going to happen at all. In fact, the world is actually supposed to get worse, is the thing. The degenerates and all that stuff, they'll like it because they're lost causes, Perhaps once you realize Hillary Clinton, Tipper Gore, and Oprah were part of the, quote, conservative efforts of the past for censorship, the left of today makes much more sense. There you go. Very interesting. I found that one exciting to read because I talked about the satanic panic. Disney Plus advertisers abandon ship as Star Wars and Marvel shows underperform. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's not good at all. Disney Plus is facing significant challenges as advertisers reportedly pull their campaigns from the platform. The streaming service's original content has failed to meet the impression threshold outlined in ad contracts, creating dissatisfaction among advertisers. The ad-supported tier of Disney Plus was intended to solve the company's streaming challenges. However, low audience engagement with major Star Wars and Marvel shows has led to below-average impressions. In response, Disney is reportedly trying to shift advertisers to broadcast television in an effort to retain their business and avoid costly refunds. From the Valiant Renegade, I believe. Yeah. This issue comes to light in the recent video by Valiant Renegade's YouTube channel. Valiant, joined by Kiss My Grits, an advertising professional speaking anonymously, provided insight into Disney's struggles. Basically, what is happening with Disney Plus is struggling right now to fulfill their obligation that it's promising to its advertisers. KMG explained, citing conversations with industry contacts in New York City. And what I mean by that is whenever you agree to advertise on a platform like Disney Plus, you are always guaranteed a certain amount of impressions. Well, Disney Plus is struggling to fulfill the obligation that they have been promising. So they're under-delivering by vast amounts on several of the campaigns that are running on the platform. And as a result of what is happening is the advertisers are obviously not very happy. And so they are pulling money from the campaigns. They're saying, all right, if you're not meeting the delivery that you promised me, I'm placing that money elsewhere. And then he further explained that advertisers have lost faith in Disney Plus as a platform and are redirecting their ad dollars to cable and broadcast network. I mean, that's another thing, too. A lot of subscription tier base is garbage. The ad tier subscription numbers are nowhere near what they assumed they were going to get, KMG said. Valiant highlighted Disney's immense streaming costs, emphasizing 4 shows: The Acolyte, Loki Season 2, Secret Invasion, and Andor. That collectively cost the company $1 billion to produce. Despite this investment, none of these shows topped streaming charts and received an average audience score of just 57.8% on Rotten Tomatoes. The problem was, as we pointed out, especially with Andor, which is now a year and a half ago, that, the audience simply didn't justify the expense that was made to produce the show, Valiant said. Those 4 shows combined to cost Disney $1 billion in production. That doesn't include whatever Disney Plus then spent to advertise these shows. Then Valiant suggested that Disney's Plus' most significant advertising opportunity might come from Bluey, a children's show the company doesn't own. It's an issue because there's restriction on advertisement in content that is specific only to kids. Disney has also integrated Hulu, ESPN into Disney Plus, but ad sales for those platforms are encountering problems as well. They don't align with the pixie dust or Disney adults who make up the bulk of Disney Plus's viewership. That would be the audience of Hulu and ESPN. I knew that there was trouble in paradise because every single press release that was generated specifically from Disney never had a single number, not $1 amount. And the only thing that the press release said was, we increased our advertisers by 15%. And I think it was very cleverly worded where it wasn't you increased your advertisement revenue, you just got more advertisers. You increased your quantity of advertisers that were coming in, so very, very clever language, which Disney is famous for, Valiant added. So Kiss My Grits then noted that Disney's ad revenue projection continues to shrink as the company repeatedly revises its advertising goals downward. If you're the advertising sales executive and you promise these advertisers, like you said, so many eyeballs, and you keep missing the mark, those projections get adjusted down and down and down. Valiant said toward the end of the video, and then at the end of the year, you say, well, we met 100% of our goal. Never mind the fact that the goal is now half of what it was at the beginning of the year. Yep, scum. Fools. I saw this was very interesting. Sora officially launches from ChatGPT creators, allows users to create AI video from text. So OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, has officially released Sora, a text-to-video generation AI tool for ChatGPT Plus and Pro subscribers. New service has the ability to take a text prompt and generate a fully rendered video clip to 1080p resolution for up to 20 seconds. Today's rollout saw so much activity that new signups are temporarily blocked. Also has the ability to become a watershed for the text-to-video industry. That would be Sora, utterly changing the game for when it comes to how we use AI as a tool. Also may put a timeline on the careers of 3D animators. Within the next 5 years, technology could be becoming the leading way we create all animation. And then you can pretty much read kind of what's up. Dang. Here, we can even watch the video. Oh, it's like 20 minutes.
Second, we don't want the world.
Nah, we're not doing that. Never mind. That kind of caught my peak interest here. This one also caught me too. Gamers for Diversity tries to silence YouTubers for exposing sweet baby connections. Of course. So Gamers for Diversity, a Dutch gaming firm that helped push a game about a magical drag performer saving beefy men in their underwear to children. Ew. It's attempting to silence the Gothic Therapy YouTube channel. This happened after its host, master of the TDS, and Writing Raven exposed the company's ties to Sweet Baby Inc. and the Power Group. For the sake of transparency, Writing Raven is a contributing writer for that Park Place under the name Raven Redgrave. So in a video released 2 weeks ago, the husband and wife YouTube duo shone a light on Gamers for Diversity and its agenda. Company connects developers with gamers to create DEI-centric games that push very specific narratives pertaining to gender, pride values, immigration, and more. Does this by holding game jams in which developers and gamers come together to compare thoughts and ideas before ultimately developing a game. One game it created and detailed in a publicly available video was a mobile side-scroller called Amanda Sparks and the Shade Forest. This game, children were able to take on the role of a drag performer, drag queen, Amanda Sparks to save her friends, some of which are scantily clad burly men. The game isn't rated for mature audiences, and it goes to great lengths to censor language so that it's not flagged as age-restricted content, which can only mean one thing. They're marketing it to children. Wow, what a bunch of disgusting assholes. The company was also revealed to have ties with Sweet Baby Inc., the narrative design firm started by Bowser enthusiast Kim Belair, seeks to inject DEI and ESG into just about every video game, even though they are like, oh, we don't do that. But then their website clearly states, yes, they do. The idea for Sweet Baby Inc. came from Belair when she was playing Mass Effect 2 and decided that allowing players to choose race and gender for their protagonists was problematic. Wait, what? She was playing Mass Effect 2 and decided that allowing players to choose the race and gender of their protagonists were problematic. Wow. She noted feeling negative about the fact that she was witnessing her black female character speaking to another black character, and not everyone was having that experience. I don't even get this in reading. What is she bitching about? You got to choose what you wanted. Since Sweet Baby has been exposed, for bastardizing a bunch of stuff, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, to come under fire for its messaging and mission from gamers who just want to enjoy escapism without modern-day identity politics. And then Master of the TDS pointed out that on the official press page for Games for Diversity, there's a write-up in which company chairman Meneno Dean is highlighted and praised as a, quote, game changer by GameIndustry.biz. The company was at one point employed Bel Air. It's also run by the Power Group, a company that recently entered into a partnership with Sweet Baby Inc., then deleted all mention of the narrative consultancy firm from their website and LinkedIn when called out on it. Yeah, I remember reading about that. That's funny. So they released the video, and then after that, Gothic Therapy was hit with a complaint filed by Games for Diversity. There you go. Appears that individuals associated has filed a privacy complaint with YouTube's regarding both of our videos and live stream that discuss their activities. All information shared in our content was publicly accessible. And it's usually how it is. And they'll bitch about how, no, you can't do that. Then don't post it online. Simple. Channel was sent an official notice stating, privacy and concerns in the complaint. Of course, the video and content Gothic Therapy shared was all publicly available information, so it's unclear how any of it was a violation of privacy. This appears to be nothing more than an attempt to silence the growing YouTube channel and cast the shadow of obscurity once more over the Dutch firm and its actions. It appears that individuals associated, this is from the tweet above there, further action is taken against us. We are prepared to contest it. Publicly available information does not violate privacy rights. If such information is displayed on your website, any resulting issues are your responsibility. They were also attacked by drag queen performer Amanda Sparks. Oh, wait, so that's actually based on a real weirdo? Okay. There you go. Oh, those sick Americans who made a video denouncing my game made another one, and this time I'm not even going to engage because they're too crazy. Ugh. Says the drag freak. Anytime they say, sick, whatever, they're crazy, blah, 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 just laugh. Just laugh. So, but after those social media attacks, Gothic Therapy looked further into Games for Diversity and made another connection between the troublesome Dutch firm, no, my people, what are you guys doing? And Kim Belair, Sweet Baby Inc. Eline Marias, board member of Games for Diversity, is also a lead producer for the Powell Group. So it turns out that DEI narrative consultancy world is a lot smaller than most people think it is. Thanks to Master of the TDS and Writing Raven, we can all see that more clearly than ever. These attempts to silence them and darken the spotlight being shown on the industry just shows they and other prominent YouTube channels are pressing against a very raw and newly exposed nerve. Are you shocked by all this? I am not, but it's also disgusting, and I feel sorry that Master of the TDS and has to go through all that crap. That can tie into YouTube censorship final form. So this caught my eye too. How long is this article here? So Orwellian gets tossed around a lot when people don't like what's being said. Kafkaesque, I don't know that word, used to get tossed around a lot, but people pretended to read Kafka less than they pretended to read Orwell these days. So here we are. When it comes to YouTube censorship, you could use both or either. Orwellian, by the way, we force ourselves to speak in Kafkaesque in the way that creators can be told they violated a rule and have to fix it. But often, YouTube won't tell the creator what rule was violated and when. Yep. I think that the real danger is not the fickle corporate labyrinth a creator has to navigate. It's the way creators preemptively change their behavior in unnatural ways to avoid it. There are a lot of things Orwell got wrong about the future of humanity. Consumerism and bureaucracy have reached a symbiotic status where people are awash in the choice, but behind the scenes, an army of public servants stand ready to make sure nothing changes. The authoritarian impulse thrives, but the West isn't controlled by a rigid uniparty that abducts people at will. Then again, he wrote fiction, not future history. What he did get spot on was that language would be a key to control. Then you got your 1984 introduced the world to Newspeak, the party's grand scheme to control the minds of controlling thought. Explained in the novel, by restricting the universe of possible words, the party creates a world where revolution against them is impossible because the language to express the idea simply won't exist. In Newspeak, nothing is bad because bad isn't a word. Things can only be ungood. Is it very bad? No, it's plus ungood. What about extremely bad? We don't have a word for that. Maybe you're thinking of double plus ungood. Then you got your, YouTube doesn't like the G word. Ooh. Over the years, YouTube censorship has taken a lot of forms. There's been deplatforming, throttling, demonetization, other techniques for which we don't have single words. All of them pale before the censorship we impose on ourselves just to be part of the conversation. Of course, not all of it is bad, and some of it is even necessary. If you have a stray thought but keep it to yourself because it's not helpful, that's censorship. When you feel passionate about something but rein in your hyperbolic tone, that's also censorship. It's also what reasonable people naturally do. When, on the other hand, a creator has to say ridiculous things like a certain Austrian painter with a funny little mustache that unalived himself, we are getting into the realms of ridiculousness. I know I'm talking about Hitler. You know I'm talking about Hitler, the genocidal maniac. Committed suicide 80 years ago. I didn't even know he was sick. And even he knows I'm talking about Hitler. For some reason, YouTube censors have decided to talk about suicide and Hitler. We have to dance around the most direct and meaningful word. And we do. Uh-oh. I think I'm going to get limited now because I didn't say it like Minecraft or anything. Gamers who reviewed Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had to watch what they said for fear that it will hurt their ad revenue. There are World War II history videos which are suspiciously light on reference to old Adolf. Sure that YouTube censorship doesn't exist to protect old Hitler, but I'm relatively certain that the boosting mentions of Minecrafting oneself has to do with an accusation from years ago that exposure to the subject on YouTube was increasingly blank ideations in young women. There are reasons for YouTube censorship, and from an outside perspective, it seems that each new rule is less a conditioned strategy on YouTube's platform and a more knee-jerk reaction to problems in a peculiar moment in time. So whether grand strategy or a game of hot potato, YouTube censorship still ends up infantilizing creators and viewers, keeping them controllable. It's not a boot on the neck of humanity. It's a state of arrest development that betrays the original promise of the internet, to connect all of us together without gatekeepers. Yep, you cannot police the internet. There is talk surrounding the incoming U.S. presidential administration about creating a doctrine for protection of content creators, something that would guarantee they are given helpful and accurate information about things that get them demonetized, throttled, deplatformed, and what have you. What we can also hope for and even advocate for is to find a way that respects both YouTube's rights to keep truly objectionable material off its platform, yet allow us, the users, to talk about hard subjects. Otherwise, all of this will continue to grow until we each win the final victory. When YouTube censorship will not just be the way we force ourselves to talk, but the way we think. Someone said 1984 is becoming nonfiction. Very true. Very true. But here is some good news that we can wrap up the show on. Constantine finally getting a 4K remaster to celebrate 20th anniversary. I like the Constantine movie. So it's celebrating its 20th anniversary of Francis Lawrence's Constantine film adaptation with the first ever 4K remaster of the cult classic. The all-new Constantine 4K remaster is set to launch in both the standard and limited steelbook edition, the latter of which is already up for pre-order as participating retailers. A release is rumored to be set for February 18th. Never got around to seeing the film. Stars Keanu Reeves, cynical, chain-smoking exorcist John Constantine from the popular DC comic series Hellblazer by Alan Moore. Film changes some key points from the source materials, like its location, but remains faithful to the spirit of the comic series. While the film got mixed critical reception, there's actually talk about it, Constantine 2 happening. When it hit theaters nearly 20 years ago, it was a box office success, earning $230 million on a $7 to $100 million budget. Nice. It has since garnered an active following, making it a cult classic with continued demands for a sequel, which got announced in 2022 and has been in production. Here's the official description for the film, plus a look at both the standard 4K and the limited steelbook. So there's what it looks right there. You got your description. Just beneath the streets of modern-day Los Angeles lies a world of demons and fallen angels, globe-trotting misfit and renegade occultist John Constantine, Keanu Reeves, a man who has literally been to hell and back, enters this world to help a skeptical policewoman investigate the mysterious suicide, or Minecrafting, YouTube, of her twin sister in Constantine, based on the long-running adult DC vertical comic book series John Constantine, Hellblazer. I started reading Hellblazer. I need to start reading it again. But that is all I have for tonight. So let's end this. Let's see. This day in gaming. Let's check out what games were released today. Brought to you by Game Facts. Brought to you by Game Facts. Bam. Always starts off like I need to go back to the previous day. And Moby Games. There we go. Take a step back to the past. Fatal Fury 2. Nice. Ooh, we got Doom. Very nice. Wario's Woods. If you liked Wario's. Oh gosh. Turok 2. Seeds of Evil. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly. I have all the Fatal Frames games. I still need to beat them. If you like your Bleach Soul Carnival 2, there you go. Luminous Arc 3, Eyes. Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3. 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. Tales of Graces. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Marvel Contest of Champions. It's a mobile game, it looks like. Got your Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, yeah, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver was released today. Oh, and this Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Revenge. I want to pick those up. Those seems pretty solid. But there you go. Jumping over to Moby Games, which has a more worldwide release. Oh, a Yu Yu Hakusho game for the Game Boy. Never made it to the U.S., alas. Oh, gosh. Cool Spot for the SNES. Ooh, the Disney's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2 for Japan. R-Type 3. The Third Lightning. Nice. Princess Clown. The name just stuck out to me. I thought I haven't played it. Got the Australian version of Donkey Kong 64. Wait, Garfield Lasagna World Tour? There was a PlayStation 2 game? Why was I not told about this? The only good Garfield game so far is there you go. Is Caught in the Act that at least came over to the US. Got the Windows version of the remake of Prince of Persia. Me, Greg, with 2 G's. I do not spell my name with 2 D's. That'd be pretty cool, though. But technically, my real name is Gregory. Yeah, now we're getting into the area where there's not a lot of stuff. I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Well, that was a good one. So we got ourselves caught up today in the old world of pop culture. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. We were on YouTube, Rumble, and X. So you can follow me over there, and you can follow me on my other social medias listed in the description below. Let's see what cool pups are online that we can redirect. And then tomorrow should be back to gaming, probably Tomb Raider, so don't miss that. 8 p.m. Central Time. That's when I try. So appreciate the support and the love and helping the channel grow. Well, I'm not seeing anybody on YouTube, which is unfortunate. No one on Rumble either. Well, I say with that, we call it for tonight. You guys have a good rest of your night. Take care. God bless. Catch you guys on the flip side. Till then, peace.